Back here with the boss man. It's gonna be the first of a number of deck profiles in this video series. Gonna test out like a week of deck profiles versus a week of gameplays. Got a lot of interesting things cooked up because I've been cooking over these last few weeks. If you've been deep diving the playlist, you'll know what I mean. But let's get into it with our man Magenta. We got some, I don't know if it was planned support, but it was just a nice touch of what they did. We'll get into those cards later, but he is a villainous leader. He's kind of like the anti-hero of the show. Also why I got my hero upside down. But what he does, he searches your villains of the top 5, draw 2 awaken. Pretty simple, as long as you have like 2 energy and such. On the backside, this is where things get cooking a little bit more. Usually I like to stay on the front side as long as I can, just to keep accruing the value of the search. But once we get to the back side, we get to play our villainous cards. And also, I forgot to mention his permanent on both sides. All villainous treated as no specific cost, so they don't have to follow the color restrictions when you're playing them. He has a special ability, pay 1, and play a villainous that's equal to or less than my energy cost. He benefits in the long games because the longer the game, the bigger the bodies you can play for that 1 energy once per turn. I have my thoughts on him, but I'll get to it at the end of the video. I'm going to try to make this as swift as possible. Oh yeah, villainous. I forgot to explain villainous. This deck is centered around villainous. It's a keyword skill that when you play another card with villainous, you get to make your opponent discard 1 from hand. It's like another unique way to play this card. So 4 super combos. 4 this Grimace. Love-hate relationship with that, but he is good because of this card. I only have 2, probably will rock just 1 more, but I got ways to search it. Going on to our blue package. We got 4 Hirudegan, kind of centered the deck around him and the new CR. Kind of that interaction just to get the full value of villainous. But the next star player I would say in all lists is this Bojack. He does a lot of heavy lifting, and he is the one that works on your turn and your opponent's turn. He's one of the only 2 that does that. He's very high up on my list as one of the best cards of the archetype. Then, for the most part, we just rocking this on our turns. Bojack on their turns. He has Offering. Then we have Attack 1 of our ducks out the crevice. Sometimes I just hard cast this 2 just to grab this back and just play it again and make him trigger the villainous. But following that up, usually my turn 1 play. After that, this is like charge or a late game play. This is the second and only card you can trigger on a turn, which is quite sad. It will be a little bit stronger outside of the restrictions, and this deck has a lot of restrictions. I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, you cannot play any other villainous battle cards other than villainous cards, but you can play extra cards though. The only saving grace, or at least this deck would have been terrible. Running 4 Protector of the People. I know a lot of people like the meme like black don't have a good floodgate. I think that is one. Protector of the People begs to differ. Next, we follow that up with Power Burst. This is going to be our very important dual utility. Just to mitigate things when things get out of line. Then we have the other big negate, Petrification. Good thing it doesn't have a Pacific cost. Glad we were ahead of or before the time of Pacific cost. This being a one, that would have hurt this deck. Glad they didn't future proof that. But really good. Turns off big bombs to your face. Then this is a bit interesting. This is just 1 energy 15k to stay alive. You can disrupt in the early game if you want to start off black. But I'll get into that philosophy a little bit later. My tech for it and why I said we around the Harudegan is this card right here is really great. What it allows you to do is target your Harudegan and remove it from play until the start of your next main phase. So it plays itself during your next main phase. So if you say manage to get Bojack in your Frieza negate live on your opponent's side of the field, you get to trigger those at the start of your main phase when the Harudegan comes back. That's the purpose of the ectoplasm. And the linchpin of the deck is Sensu Beam. I know I got a lot of defense in this deck, but for certain battles, you want to go into the battle phase just to set up the Bojack and the Frieza. You're playing very defensive for the first 3 or 4 turns. And for our last 2 cards, we have a Max Command Man, just instant spot removal for something we don't want to deal with, and Vermilion, because we're playing multicolors. Charging is a bit interesting. You want to charge a blue and a red in the early game in the first 3 turns. Just make sure you do that. And that's after that, it don't really matter, because for the first 4 turns, you basically playing on your opponent's turn, and pretty much only using 1 or 2 energy max on your turn. Usually just 1. For the most part, depending on what I'm playing, I wouldn't even use that until I can get to my setup with my Harudegan turn 4. So we built it to survive to turn 4. Going on to our Z deck, we got the new pen, because white is a theme, and they like to flip your stuff face down. Then we have the Broly. A lot of people not a fan of this card, but for the same reason they say this is really good is the same reason why my argument is Protector the People is a good floodgate. Even though I don't like to say floodgate because they have negative connotations in these peaceful times. Next we got our Z Extra of Choice. This just like I said before, I like to go in the battle phase, and just this helps me do that safely and take off some pressure. Also, Bojack is really good. Otherwise, I would have been running 2 of this, but I cut it down to 1 just because I feel like a Z Mighty Blast, you can get more diverse depending on how you build your version with the Mighty Blast. But I focus it on like 3 main colors. And also like setting this up, just having a blocker could be really pivotal during those kill turns on your opponents. Then for our last few cards, we have this, and our Vegito Unison, just for in-game situation and just kind of like to stabilize, cause like you're going to grind with this deck, cause like I want to say most strategies are better than yours until like turn 4, and then that's when things start leveling up. That's why we play defensive for the most part. But going on to the side deck, just to follow that up, testing this out, but right now I'm like a perfect 50-50. You can go up to. I wouldn't really go more than that, because like I said before, a lot of decks are better than yours in the first 4 turns, so that's why we defensive, and that's why it's kind of on maining this, but it's in a trial run to main. But I really like this card though, and it synergizes with other things in our deck, and also especially for later. And this can be like an end-game finisher because of its -2. I even played this in the Warp G10 in my earlier versions. It's pretty slept on, and it doesn't have any Pacific energy, so you can just play it. +1 warp draw. Then follow that up. This is just like for the Weenie Rush. If I have my Unison live, I could just warp, or I can use the active battle just to give something a +15 boost up. That's why I say Bean is important, because you are constantly untapping and getting out of big swings, especially if you lead off with the character of the people and they try to push through it, you just punish them. Same with this kind of like some recursion, a negate and recursion, or more pitch targets, because we pitch a lot. I'm going to explain more of that in a little bit. I just want to get through the deck. Like I said before, we play 3 main colors: black, blue, red, and a splash yellow. But black, blue, and red is the main ones we focusing on. But this helps alleviate pressure. Same with this card, especially the token rush. Then we got 2 of this, just token negates, and just for Unison matchups, but really don't care about Unisons too much. Honestly, I was thinking about making these like Dragon Slam Bullet, but we are this is like base 1, like the safe build to get you there, because like the main process of the deck of what you want to do is probably set this up like so. And also, like I was saying before, you want to play Bojack on your turn. I forgot to mention that he has another ability when he's played, makes them put a card back to hand that higher than their energy cost. I was thinking about Time to Die in here, but I didn't want to do it over 1 card. And it really doesn't matter, because I'm going to make him discard that card anyway, because when you follow up behind Frieza, they gotta discard because of villainous. But generally, my turn 3 is ultimately setting this up through where is that? A beam, because I'm probably gonna use energy just to play a little bit more. But this setting up this, because so these can come back. This is like my early game combo. Just like I would probably have this out and then play this just to warp this, and these come back at the end of my opponent's turn, negating their skills, and I would just combo out of something, bean, negate the next attack, and make them discard, and then at the end of turn, these will come back. That's pretty much the gist, and that will trigger him. And then on my turn 4, you just play out your Harudagon, and then the shenanigans begin, because you can either or at that point you're making them discard 4. Also, another thing, cool note is like when he moved and come back, it resets his skill, so he's a valid target. Because I know him and Tao is a once per game effect, because they blank their own skills for the game as long as they're face up. But if they leave and come back, it resets the skill, which is something good to note. But mostly you playing defensive, and then you just ectoplasm just to remove this. So it doesn't matter if they clear this out. You just want to do that. But if you don't have this, you probably just staving off with this and probably this, because you're not really pushing into later games. So most of the time they're going to crit themselves not to let you draw. So on your turns, the only 2 cards you really playing is this or this if you have the Grimace setup. But generally that's how you want to play it. And when their life is low enough, you just hit them with a big threat like Broly or a Goku. But for the most part, for most matches, in general, if I don't have like the perfect setup and my hand is kind of wonky, going into turn 3 and turn 4, and I just need another turn to get there, I just drop this and let my opponent deal with this, which for them is easier said than done. That's why it's in here. And if I need another turn, if they get over it, I'll just drop another one. And we'll just keep building up until my energy is swelled up where I can make multiple plays and interactions competently without losing too much advantage. And that's generally how you want to play the new Boss Man in 2026. This made it better, but I had a list. Actually, it's in my playlist that played a bit differently, because I was going to drop it before this reveal came out, but then I kind of just let it chill in my playlist. If you want to see that, you can go see that. But it just killed the 1-drops and just was playing the 1 energy ones that come out. I really love hate with those, because you either choose to use that to the fullest on your turn, paying a lot of energy to do that, or you just hope for the best and hopefully to defend. Because like I tried it before, it wasn't too bad, but against aggro matchups it was pretty hard. Ooh, it's almost 20 minutes. I said I was going to keep it short, but I've been rambling on. Let me know what you think. This definitely helps, but with the leader permanent locking your accessibility to more pivotal cards, it really hurts a lot. But you have to be more technical with this. It's not impossible, but if you like puzzles and solving certain matchups, I would say give this deck a try. It's not that bad, but this is something I always wanted to do, because I like rainbow decks, and I'm like, somebody said make Magenta good, and I'm like, challenge accepted. But I would say if they were to reboot this leader, just say include, at least give it the Shinran treatment on the errata as a reboot. Just include like 20 to 30 villainous and let your villainous cards or give the permanent to negate energy exhaust on the villainous cards, because it let you diversify your extra card lineup. Because like I had a lot of the multicolors in here in my original list, and like the only one that negates energy exhaust is the cooler. Because like I think that's the next decent version of this, just focusing on green, yellow, and like all the stuff that encompasses green, yellow. But that's just to hint that off, because I was doing some shenanigans with that before, and I had like this to pop out the freezer, had some tech, the freezer call, and like uh this just to further incentivize the hand controllers. This is like stuff like that. But overall, you have to commit to a strategy. You can't have all of them bumped up. That's why I cut a lot out. But I hope that all makes sense. I wanted to make this video half that, but I felt I need to explain that. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Definitely give it a try. This was made defensive, just to make it more viable into a lot of other matchups and control the pace of the game. I'm like, he's just a man. When you in a realm of gods and everybody being able to destroy up the planet, just blow it up. You gotta have the contingencies and gotta be ready. And I think this deck is ready to handle it. Thanks for watching and catch you later.